Okay, so at the start of 2024 in January, I pretty much uploaded part 1 of my Super Metroid playthrough. At the time, my video editing skills weren't all that great, and there wasn't any commentary to the video, because at the time I wasn't comfortable, sharing my voice online, and all that good stuff. But I figured since I've gotten a bit more confident with sharing my voice now, I figured, why not do a new playthrough of Super Metroid? A sort of remake of my playthrough, as it were. I really wanted to do something like this for quite a long time now, and I figured, why not do that since we're going to be going up into, the lead-up of Metroid Prime 4 coming out soon. As of the time of this recording, the game is only 3 weeks away from release. So I figured, why not replay Super Metroid again for the channel? Just to, get myself prepared for Metroid Prime 4. Because we're supposedly going for the road to Metroid Prime 4. And figured why not start with my favorite game of all time of the series, and my favorite game in general, Super Metroid, once again. So let's not waste any more time and get ourselves straight into the game.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Yep, pretty much the first bit of voice acting back in the old days. But yeah, as you can tell, that line of dialogue was referencing the end of Metroid 2, Return of Samus, where the Metroids are all supposedly extinct except for one last baby Metroid. Now, I wasn't aware of this at the time because, again, I was young, I was just a dumb kid, so I wouldn't have known at the time. Now, I'm sure if you guys have pretty much seen my Why I Love Super Metroid video I made nearly 2 weeks ago, you know that I have a lot to say when it comes to showing my love for this game. There was just so much that I loved about it, like the gameplay, the music, the environments, the lore, all that good stuff. This game is pretty much just a fantastic game to behold. Like, it's one of the best games out there since back in the day, and still remains one of the best to this very day. And nothing is ever going to change that for me. So yeah, Samus is giving her exposition about everything that's happened up until this point, where she picks up a distress signal and the space station is under attack. So yeah, we're pretty much finally getting into the game now. This is pretty much the tutorial area, Sarah's space station, where you learn how to, it doesn't tell you how to play, but you do get the general idea once you figure out the controls. But yeah, this is not a good sign when I saw this scene, because I knew something was up, and something had happened. Even in the moment back when Sarah's space station was said to have been attacked. And there's the Metroid. Seems quite peaceful enough, but something's not right.
Hello there!
Look who shows up. It's Ridley, Samus's arch-nemesis. Now when I first played this, I thought that this was a boss I couldn't even actually try to attempt to beat. But if you're able to damage Ridley enough, he will drop the Metroid, but will catch it again. Now, I don't know if it'll be possible here, but that doesn't mean I won't give it a try. Okay, so pretty much, if it's lower than 30, then Ridley will fly away. Ouch! Too late. So yeah, we gotta get out of here. This is the first of the escape sequences. And escape sequences are a common tradition in Metroid. You gotta get away before, well, the station blows up. Honestly, this being the very first ever escape sequence at the beginning of the game is just something different for a Metroid game, at least at the time. But I believe Metroid Prime did something similar, like at the beginning of that game, where after you beat the boss, you have to escape the space station. They took quite a few cues from Super Metroid, at least in terms of the beginning structure, where Samus investigates a space station, she encounters Ridley, and she has to escape before it gets destroyed. So now we finally arrive back on the planet Zemus, if you played Metroid 1, of course. Alright, so now we have to find Ridley and the baby Metroid. This music really gives me the chills, especially when you hear the thunder cracks. Okay, so we gotta head down here. This game does offer a lot in terms of exploration, like just trying to find every nook and cranny you can. One of the main things about Metroid that I do also love is pretty much the backtracking, because you'll be able to access areas you could normally not be able to backtrack properly without the proper equipment. But when you do that, you'll be able to access areas that you couldn't normally get through before, or access places and items that you could normally not reach. Here we are, we're pretty much in Brinstar. And here's our first of the upgrades, the Morph Ball, or as it says here, Morphing Ball. It was changed to, I believe it was changed to Morph Ball right after this game. So yeah, you just press down twice on the D-pad to have Samus curl up into a ball and, you know, go through hidden passages. Now there's a red door right here, or pink if, as you can see. But yeah, we go down here, and there's another door that we can open. And here we get our second upgrade. And the first of the expansions, the missiles. You use these to cause more damage on enemies and open up certain doors. Like so. So let's head in here. Here's another missile expansion we can get right off the bat. Well, that was a little weird. Why'd the door sound like that? I don't know. Okay, so the lights are back on now. And here are the Space Pirates. Now, as you can pretty much see right here, if you played the original Metroid, this was the old Turian, before Samus defeated Mother Brain and it ended up being destroyed. Ouch. Okay, I did not intend for that to happen. But yeah, this was pretty much Turian after Samus had pretty much defeated the Space Pirates Zebas the first time.
Hey, stupid!
Oh, dang it. I was kind of holding off on maybe replaying Super Metroid again for maybe a good couple of years, but again, like I said, considering that Metroid Prime 4 is almost here, I figured why not replay this game again, hopefully now with much better editing. Now I want to clarify that I'm not doing this as a speed run, I'm not doing this to get 100%, I'm just playing the game as I like to play it. If you want to find 100% playthroughs or see some speed runs, you can find them anywhere on YouTube. It's really up to you. Yeah, here we got the bombs, and uh-oh, looks like we're shut in.
You insolent! Give me my crown!
And here we have our first mini-boss, the Chorizo statue. Now you can do this in one of a few ways. Well, not one of a few ways, but you have to at least try and take it down. Now there are a few attacks it can do, like claw swipes. It can shoot out these beams right here. Okay, this is not going as well as I hoped. But it can also drop little orb things, and it's not doing them. I better use missiles quick. Oh, that was close. Any more goofing around, and I probably would have been dead the first part. It will shoot out those little orb things, and if you hit them, you're able to recover like missiles and health. But since it didn't do that, I was in trouble. It's like it knew what I was up to. Anyway, we got the Morph Ball bombs, so now we can be able to make some progress. I know that game playthroughs aren't as big as they were back in the day, but that doesn't necessarily mean I won't stop doing them. Far from it. I just need to figure out what other playthroughs I want to do for the channel. Alright, we got our first energy tank, so let's move on. Now we got these dark green pirates. Your normal power beam won't be able to do any damage to them, so you're gonna have to use missiles. Now this way, but here, this is pretty important. See these? These statues represent the four main bosses of the game. Kraid, Phantoon, Dragon, and Ridley. In order to gain access to the final area of the game, you gotta defeat all four of them. Mini-bosses technically don't count. Those four are who you need to defeat in order to gain access to the final area. Okay, so now we get down this elevator, and we go into another portion of Brinstar. And I do kind of like this little track here. Really gives off like an Amazonian jungle kind of vibe to me. Okay, just gotta make our way through here. If you look at the textures like this, you may think of it as like, I don't know, cotton candy or maybe even Weetabix. I don't know. I just thought of it as the latter at times, but I was a kid then. Now I like to come down here first. Not just for getting this missile expansion, but there is another upgrade we can get here. Just gotta open this way with a bomb, and then... bingo! Our first beam upgrade, the charge beam. This can be really useful if you know what you're doing with it, because it makes a pseudo spin dash if you jump and hold the charge. And it can drop multiple of the Morph Ball bombs. Oh, key hunters. Oh, okay. Not intentional, but alright. Alright, so now we're getting into the second mini-boss of this game. And one of my least favorite bosses, Spore Spawn. You don't really see this boss a lot during speedruns. It's usually the most skipped boss if people can figure out the exploits. So yeah, the main weak spot is its mouth, and you gotta shoot missiles into it. You also gotta deal with these spores that it drops. If you're lucky enough, you can shoot multiple missiles into the Spore Spawn's mouth. It's almost done. I'm sorry for this if this is taking a while. Alright. Last hit. Alright. Back to make our way through here to get back into the main area. And here is where we can get our next upgrade. Here we have the Super Missiles. Unlike some of the other games, Super Missiles here don't stack. They're their own separate equipable. And I believe Metroid Zero Mission did this too. In Metroid Prime 1 and 2, to use Super Missiles, you do what is called a beam combo, where you charge up the beam and press the missile button to actually activate Super Missiles, which is a pretty unique way of using Super Missiles. Yeah, I'm not proud of how the old Super Metroid videos turned out, like my playthrough. Like, there wasn't really much editing to it. Later on down in the series, I ended up adding text, and it was not all that great. And at the time, I used all of Video Editor. Though now I'm using DaVinci Resolve. I'm just hoping that these will turn out a bit better than my old ones. I'll still keep the old ones up on YouTube for you guys to watch, but that's up to you. If you want to watch them or not, of course. But I feel that these could be a huge improvement over those previous videos. Alright, we're heading down into our next area, Norfair, but there isn't really much we can do here, because this area is full of ultra-heated rooms. And ultra-heated rooms, they will slowly burn away at your health, as Samus's power suit isn't able to withstand the heat. But there is a suit upgrade that we'll be getting shortly in order to gain access to further areas of Norfair. And here are the high jump boots. Now then, here's the thing, the door will be locked unless you defeat this enemy here. Once you've done that, you can be able to leave the room. Alright, we just need to open up this way. So now that we have the high jump boots, we should be able to access this area. Though people who are speedrunning the game don't go for the high jump boots right away. Instead, they do a little wall jump trick in order to get up there and into Kraid's lair. I have done this several times before. It's a sort of practice kind of thing. I don't intend on doing speedruns anytime soon. There are a lot of people that'll do the whole speedrunning thing a lot better than I ever could. Alright, so we head down here. Okay, we're getting really close to a boss now. And here's what we call a mini Kraid, or fake Kraid. But yeah, he was easy, but he's not the actual boss. That door right there, it's pretty much an eye door. If you shoot 3 missiles at it, you get rid of it. And that eye door signifies a boss room. And so here we have our first boss of the game. First major boss, of course. And here he is, Kraid, the first boss of the game. So yeah, the main thing about fighting with Kraid is that his weakness is his mouth, and you gotta open that mouth. You either wait for him to do it, or you shoot him in the eyes. Be careful with attacks like those belly button spike shots, and those boomerang things. I do not remember the names of these things. I'll put them on screen during the editing. But yeah, you can shoot a few super missiles into Kraid's mouth, or shoot regular missiles. It doesn't matter either way. Super missiles do a lot more damage, so it'll be easier to defeat Kraid. And here we have our first suit upgrade of the game, the Various suit. Originally, it was supposed to be called Barrier suit, but a translation error just gave it the name we have today. With the Various suit, we're able to protect ourselves from extreme temperatures. So now we should be able to access Norfair without any issue. Now let's go through here, because there is another expansion we can get. Just gotta get rid of these guys, because they'll drain at your health if they latch onto you. And they're annoying to deal with. Here's another energy tank. That makes it our third one for the playthrough. Now, I don't plan on getting like 100%, like I said, or get like, any speedrunning done. I'm just playing the game how I usually play it. That's just take my time, play through as normal, just like how I did back when I was a kid. Okay. Now we can go back down to Norfair and do some more exploring there. Just head down. Oh, no, I don't think that was where I was supposed to go. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So this is the first ever heated room in Norfair. Oh, jeez. There's a missile expansion right there, but unfortunately, we're not protected from the lava. So yeah, we're gonna need another suit upgrade if we want to get it. But that won't come for at least a good while. Alright, here's this little bubble light room. Now then, there is a missile expansion that we can get here, and it's this way. Here we go. We have another missile. Okay, so we gotta go down here if we want to gain access to where we need to go. I mean, speedrunners have an alternative, but most of the time I prefer to play the normal way, but I do sometimes do some speedrun tricks now and again. Jeez, enemies are just bombarding me all over the place. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we gotta ride these guys. Oh, now this one can be lowered with your weight, so you better be quick if you're gonna get to the other side. There is a beam upgrade, but unfortunately we don't have the means to actually get there unless you're a speedrunner, but I'm not intending on doing that. I mean, there may still be the odd speedrun trick I will do now and then, but I'm not trying to speedrun this game. Again, there are people that do a way better job at it than I ever will. There is an upgrade that we can get here, and it's definitely one of my favorite upgrades of the series. Now, there is actually a missile up here. I was shooting the wrong block right there, but here's another missile here. It's just in case you have no missiles for some reason, but it's nice to have. Anyway, here's our next upgrade, the Speed Booster. With this, we can go at high speeds, break through speed boost blocks, and enemies. You can also pull off a trick called the Shine Spark, which I will show at some point. Don't know when, but I will. With the Speed Booster, if you have that, you'll be able to plow through these blocks like so. Now, this is what we need the Speed Booster for, to pass through those gates. Now, those blocks right there, they're obviously for the power bombs if you recognize the symbol. So, you'll pretty much want to get those at some point. We will be eventually getting them.
Hey, stupid!
Oh, jeez, I missed. Now, I could go back up the way I came, but this is one of the little speed running tricks that I'm familiar with, where if you jump up to a certain point, and then you press down twice on the D-pad, you can go into more ball while going in midair. Anyway, enough about that. Here's our next upgrade, the Ice Beam. Another one of my favorite power-ups, where with it, you can be able to freeze your enemies, use them as platforms. It can be really helpful if you ever want to get to different locations. Again, I explained a lot of this in my Why I Love Super Metroid video, so yeah, if you want to check out that video, there will be a link in the description, but it will also be on the end screen, if you guys want to check that out. Alright, so let's go get our next upgrade, which is back all the way in the Red Brinstar, which I will say definitely has some of the best music out there. Red Brinstar is definitely my favorite track of the game. I just love how calm and serene the music is. At least in Red Brinstar. But yeah, here is another beam upgrade, the Spacer Beam. It's a bit stronger than the regular power beam. And you'll be able to shoot free shots. Here's a faster way to get back down. Again, the Ice Beam is really helpful for, platforming and such. I'd completely forgotten to mention one little thing about Super Metroid that I do love, that was never in this, that I forgot to put down when I was writing the script, and that was being able to toggle off certain power-ups. You can toggle on and on by going into the Samus portion of the pause menu. It was one thing I completely forgot to do. and I'm sorry I forgot about that. I just like that little detail where you can turn off and on certain power-ups, like the suits, the beam weapons, and the other miscellaneous upgrades. But unfortunately, you cannot turn off missiles or power bombs. And speaking of power bombs, we should be getting our next upgrade pretty soon. Okay, we just gotta freeze these guys. That'll do it. Okay. Oh wait, I realized something. Hang on.
Get it off me!
Oops. But yeah, I actually forgot. Use a power bomb here, there's a passage. And it gives you another missile expansion. I'd completely forgotten about that. I never usually do at first. Still cannot believe I forgot about that part. I am still hoping to try and get more Metroid videos out of the way. I'm currently working on one right now, but it's taken me a while because of, lack of motivation, and plus getting the script, finalized and everything. But I can assure you, I will try and get it done hopefully before the end of November. Or before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. I'm not promising anything, but we will see what happens. Anyway, down here, this is the only one of the few of them that doesn't actually trap you and hurt you. Instead, it hides a power bomb expansion. Alright, we're heading back up the elevator. And we're heading back to some familiar territory after being away for a while. And we're back in Grandia. But it's still playing the Red Brinstar theme. It will do that until you leave. Now then. If you head this way, there's another problem. As you can see, we have no way of getting across. Because in our current suit, our movement is super slow in water. And these blocks, we have no means of getting across there at this point in time. But we will come back once we get a certain upgrade, which I'm pretty sure you already know is the grapple beam. Because again, this game is over 30 years old, so... and a lot of people will have likely played this game at this point. But yeah, here comes another one of my favorite tracks I forgot to mention in my video. Yep, I believe this is pretty much the theme of Crateria after you get the power bombs, indicating that time will have likely passed. But yeah, there's something that I do want to at least do. Up here, there is a power bomb door. Now, as you would have known, I used a Shine Spark, but the problem is that in Super Metroid, Shine Sparks drain your health if you use them, so you better be using them wisely if you don't have very many energy tanks. So you be careful. I don't know why, but it seems that this is the only game that Shine Sparks drain Samus's health. Yet in subsequent games, Samus's health remains intact. There are a few things that I do want to get here. They're mainly just expansions. There's some things you won't be able to gain access to without certain upgrades. And those upgrades, well, we'll be getting them soon, just a matter of when. Okay, down here we're going back into Torian, or the old Torian at least, because there is an expansion that we can get in the next room. Get rid of you. Whoop. And we open up this way. Here is another super missile. Well, it's not actually a super missile. If I said that, I apologize. It's a regular missile. Because again, I'm still prone to making some mistakes. But yeah, that was another missile expansion. There we go. Now if you look up, shoot a beam, boom. There's an energy tank right here. It's been here the whole time. We couldn't get to it at the time because we didn't have the high jump boots. But now we have our 4th energy tank. Now there is a faster way to get to the green Brinstar. Use a power bomb right here, and it'll open up the way. And here we have another power bomb expansion. Now then, before we actually proceed on, there's actually one more place I'd like to go. Whoa. Oof, close one. Almost hit me there, you. Whoops. Actually, this ends up leading to an animal friend that actually can teach you to Shine Spark. The Dakora, or Dakurai, I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize for that. I'm not the best when it comes to pronunciations like that. But yeah, the Dakurai pretty much just teaches you how to use a shine spark. If you crouch down before the speed boost ends, then you'll be able to, access the shine spark. It's something that it doesn't teach you in the manual, but it's nice to find. And like I said before, when using the shine spark here in this game, it will drain your health, so be careful when you use it. Now here, we have the speed boost, we can get across here. If you tried doing that earlier without the speed boost, then you won't be able to get across unless you know a little trick called the mock ball. Anyway, here is another expansion called the reserve tank, where it adds extra health into a small tank where it can allow you to refill your health if you're about to die. It's a nifty little thing to have. You can switch it between auto or manual, but I'd rather keep it on auto just in case. Here's another missile expansion. Now the reserve tanks, you can get a few of these. I think like maybe 3 or 4. I don't know, I don't remember. I'll have to have future me add this in post to clarify which is what I say is true or false. Now, before we press on, there is another location I want to go, which is down here. Whoop. Okay, I didn't think I pulled that off. But yeah, past this energy tank is a small gap, so it's not a regular hole. It is designed to trick you, because if you don't jump, then you will fall in the hole. Now in here, we can get another super missile expansion, like so. Alright, now then we head down here. Let's get you out of the way. Oh, and there's the Ectoons. Now these little guys right here can teach you the wall jump. Like so. The wall jump is pretty much a popular and common thing seen in speedrunning. It's quite a useful mechanic, once you learn it. I've never been the best wall jumper when it comes to this stuff. And here we go. And here is another bomb expansion. Now there is a little trick that I did learn from a random YouTube video I saw at one point. No, I'm not the best when it comes to pulling it off, but it requires quite a bit of timing. There we go, got it right.
Later.
Alright, we're back in the Red Bryn Star with definitely one of the best music in my opinion. Okay, so I've opened up a powerbomb door that we will obviously be going there at some point, but not right away. It is one of the optional upgrades that you can actually get in this game. One of 2 if I recall correctly. Or there could be more. Editing Metro? Be sure to add if I'm right or not. Now here, if you have the power bombs, you can blow up this glass tube and it'll break. And it'll gain access to another area of the game, but since we don't have another suit that can help us move freely through water, we won't be able to actually gain access to most of the area. So that's going to have to come until a bit later. Now we use power bombs right here. And we gain access to another port of the room. Oh, not port, part of the room. Oh, jeez. Yeah, these blocks can crumble, which is a little weird, because I would have thought that they'd be platforms that you can jump on. Anyway, speed boost time. Now then, here is the next mini-boss. We have Crocomire.
How you doing?
Now this one's a bit more of a unique boss because, unlike the other bosses in this game, attacking Crocomire won't actually damage him. Instead, you have to push him back, as there is a bridge behind Crocomire that, if you can get him on it, the bridge will crumble and he will fall into the acid below. You just gotta fire the missiles precisely on his mouth and time it right. And here we go. Alright, we just need to follow the trail of bubbles that are in the acid and... Oh. Is Crocomire coming back? I thought he was done. Oof. Yeah, he's done. I honestly thought we were gonna fight the skeleton or something, but never mind. Let's head down here, because we'll be getting our next upgrade pretty soon. Alright, so to get our next upgrade, we need to get these blocks out of the way, deal with these enemies. Alright, now we use the speed booster.
Hey, stupid!
I timed that so poorly. Let's try again. And jump. It took me a few tries to do this as a kid, so I've gotten the better hang of it. Anyway, here's our next upgrade, the grappling beam. Now this is definitely another one of my favorite upgrades, but it does become moot by the time we do get the space jump. As I'll demonstrate to you in just a second, you can be able to use grapple blocks. Again, space jump will make this moot, but for the time being, this is a pretty useful way to travel. As long as you can find some grapple blocks. Now, before we head back up, there's this door right here. Now we go investigate, and we're in this room. Now this room is going to be a little important later on. But yeah, that face looks familiar, doesn't it? Ridley's face right here. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get into him at this point, until we can get a few upgrades. So he's going to have to wait for our rematch for a while. Now then, let's continue on. Now there is another beam upgrade that I want to at least get before we move on. The next upgrade, again, is one of the few optional ones, but, whoops, it will be pretty handy to have just in case. Well, it feels more like a required, upgrade rather than just optional. And here's our next beam upgrade, the wave beam. With this, it cannot go through enemies though, but it can go through objects which can help you out if you need it. Though in the Prime games, it's more of an electrical beam, at least in Prime 1, of course. Alright, there's a few things I want to take care of before we head back to our ship. Now then, before we head back up to Grandia, there's actually one thing I need to do. Well, not need, but I wanted to at least go through here. Also, grappling beam can actually grab items that are far away, so that's handy. Now here is one of the few upgrades that are that's optional to get. Here we have the X-ray scope. It's primarily optional because with it you can be able to, see through walls that you can go through and be able to solve certain puzzles, but since a lot of people don't really use it, it's just kind of pointless. But the option is there if you want to get it. I'm just getting it for the sake of getting it. I obviously won't be using it so much, but I probably might end up using it at random points, but we'll see. Alright, we should be heading back to the ship right about now. We're back in Grandia now, so let's get to the ship. Alright. So, let's save at the ship, and I think this will do it for this episode, because I've been recording this for at least over an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, we'll pretty much just end this episode for now. If you enjoyed this episode or video, feel free to give it a like. And if you're new to the channel and wish to see more from me, then feel free to subscribe, completely optional. But yeah, we'll wrap it up for now, and hopefully we'll continue this next time. This is Metro Gamer 21 signing out for now. I will catch you guys in the next video, and as I always say, you all keep on gaming, gamers. Bye.